So Shelley, just conducted the SSE Scottish Women's Cup semi-final draw. What do you make of the semi-finals we've got in prospect?
It's very interesting, isn't it? Obviously, I think you've got, not being disrespectful to the other two teams, but you've obviously got the favourites, Glasgow City and Hibs. They are a terrific tie in prospect there, but I also think Spartans and Motherwell, that brings a lot of excitement because it's an opportunity for a team to get to the final.
Touching on Hibs against Glasgow City, they've had quite an interesting season so far. Hibs obviously doing really well in the semi-final of the SWPL Cup, drawing twice in the league, now in the Scottish Cup. The two teams, is there any separation you'd make between them at the moment from what you've seen?
It's very tough, I think that Glasgow City are off the back of their first European away leg, a great result away from home. And they'll want to continue that momentum going into the semi-final, and I think also it won't be a revenge thing, but Hibs being the holders and winning back to back, there's absolutely no doubt that Glasgow City will want to try and win the Scottish Cup this year for sure.
And obviously in the other tie, SWPL 1 Spartans against SWPL 2 champions Motherwell. It's going to be an interesting tie because Motherwell, as I say, the champions coming up next season at SWPL 1. What do you think about that tie? What will you make of those two teams facing off against each other?
The contrast there is quite interesting. Eddie Vilecki Black's done a fantastic job with Motherwell, now moved on to Celtic. They've romped their league this season, Motherwell. Spartans, have maybe underachieved this season in terms of the league so far, and they're vying against Hamilton at the bottom right now, so to get into a semi-final for both those teams is a great achievement, so that's got the makings of a really exciting tie as well.
Obviously a lot of kind of positive news around Scottish women's football overall, obviously qualification for the World Cup and the criteria announced in SWPL. How excited are you right now to be involved in everything that's going on within women's football?
Yeah, it's an exciting time, like you say. I think the huge thing that we're always open for in the women's game is investment and resource, and you can only get that by your performances, and to have obviously sustainable success is key for us in the girls' and women's game in Scotland. So that's back-to-back qualification now in final tournaments for the Scottish women's national team, and the profile's been terrific over the last couple of weeks. But what we do need to ensure is that our domestic product certainly gets the resource that it needs. I think there's been a lot of good work done by SWF, and especially on the back of the recent announcement with the criteria, and for me it's all about creating a professional environment. We might not be at the stage right now where the players are getting paid to be professional. We don't have professional clubs, but the word professional for me is a whole lot more than finances. So I think the work that's been done to put in criteria, that's certainly is the way forward.
So some of the teams involved in SWPL, I think you've touched upon it earlier on as well, is the young talent that's coming through. You can see it at all the different clubs. There's a lot of exciting prospects coming through at the moment in Scotland as well, isn't there?
Yeah, well, there's been a bit of discussions around obviously the players migrating to play for professional clubs, so out with Scotland, but what that does do is it gives young players an opportunity to play senior football early. So there's a lot of good examples of that happening across the leagues, and that's something that's fantastic for the development of our young players. As I say, what we need now is the big clubs, and certainly the ones that are have got an affinity with men's clubs, to invest and resource their women's teams far greater.
And obviously you spoke about the development of women's football. There's been quite a significant progress, even just in a short space of time, helped by sponsors like SSC. What development have you seen in the game over a number of years now, being involved in the game? Yeah,
I mean, you've got both our competitions, sponsorship for both our competitions, and that's great for us. We never had that many years ago, and hopefully it inspires other businesses to come in and organisations to come in and support the girls and women's game, because there's no end to what we can achieve by resourcing it more heavily than what we've done in the past. So you've got SSE, who also sponsor our entry points into the game with our soccer centres, and for me that's also, it's a legacy, it's part of the legacy to try and get more girls playing the game. So it's been fantastic, but I would always urge that we get more.
And just finally, tickets are on sale now for the SSE Scottish Women's Cup Final. It's the first time you've been able to buy them online in advance. Now that we know the semi-finalists, it's going to be a fantastic final at Firhill. What would you say maybe to encourage maybe new fans of the game to come along and to watch that game?
Yeah, well, on the back of our Switzerland game with the national team at the Simple Digital Arena, we had a record-breaking crowd. So it's a great time for people to come along and watch the product that we have in Scotland, whether it's the national team or whether it's the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. I was at a quarter-final on Sunday, Edinburgh University, Hutchison Vale versus Hibs, and they had a record crowd. So it's moments like that, they won't be pleased with the scoreline in the game, but it's moments like that clubs are doing the right thing and trying to provide that environment that will generate support for their team.